this is the next great SpongeBob film. If I was excited or care about it, because this movie disappointed me not hard, but if you're old SpongeBob fan, you get it. You get the feeling you were expecting this, especially how this movie was leaked. And even that the people who watched this movie was leaked, they was sort of not impressed, or they just said don't even bother. Of course, before I break up this movie, my name is Rachel. I like to talk about animation, not just animation, to reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories, and sometimes, if I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, how you like how it's going, you like to help my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, thank you. If you don't, that's fine too. If you do, thank you, because of you, I am getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. I'm getting close because a lot of people put like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's start with this review of SpongeBob movie, or the Sandy Chicks movie. Now, I'm trying to say something good about this film because it's gonna be a little hard because this film, a few words, is just mid. I mean, the story is basically saying it's another road trip movie like the last movie, like the last movie. Let's face it, all SpongeBob films going to theaters are just road trip films. But the only difference is this one has a high budget using CGI and use real people around SpongeBob, and SpongeBob just CGI, and that's basically the highlight of the whole film. But besides that, this movie promises you is basically a Sandy Cheeks movie, and you know what? It kind of was, but it wasn't that interesting or fascinating because you team up with SpongeBob, who have very weird skills, and they try and Sandy, who's a scientist, who attempted basically save Bikini Bottom for a sort of company called Boot, who's a science kind of company, but they sort of changed their regulation, becoming a water park, while telling Sandy Cheeks what actually going on. Even that she attempted to save Bikini Bottom, this became sort of a road trip film focused on a little bit on Sandy Cheek's work, who she is, and where she come from, and who is her family. And that could be okay film, or at least a very decent 7 out of 10 type of film. Even was a 7 out of 10, because it wasn't. It wasn't 7 out of 10. This was a 3 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, because everything about this was kind of boring, because it never feels they really relying on SpongeBob's sort of creativity and the things make SpongeBob unique, especially certain scenarios that need to survive in Texas because they have to go to point B to point A because they have to save Bikini Bottom. They don't know why they want him bottom four. They just know they had to save the whole town of this boat company who want to do something with SpongeBob. Till you realize what it was, it's because this company wants to monetize SpongeBob. Basically, it's sort of commentary of Paramount and what they're doing with SpongeBob. But besides that, in between that, they sort of get lost in Texas in trying to find exactly where they are, the company boot, and get to there. But during that time, Sandy asks her help for her family to back her up. And you get to know a little bit about Sandy Cheeks, who used to be at the very beginning, why she kind of chose the career she wants, even that the whole family are circus folk. But even that, it was just sort of there for a little bit, but never really deep dive. You can actually see she sort of kind of miss her family, miss the circus, but even that, it's just sort of little that you kind of surprised they didn't pull all the stops or actually focus something very creative of this sort of scenario, even is another road trip film. And I think that's sort of the problem because they just sort of assess this with the road trip sort of aspect, but never really fully actually get the idea what makes a road trip so interesting. In fact, except for the first film, because the first film, it really shows the development of SpongeBob being more kind of brave, trying to be more adult now. Whereas at least the first film, this one they never trying to do that or show SpongeBob creativity being Sponge or his sort of talent being bubbles or driving rocks or using the magic a conch shell. You expect that sort of weirdness to SpongeBob, but it actually works in the TV series. Yeah, I wish they used those kind of things against Sandy. She could actually react to it like, no, you can't drive cars. Like, that's almost impossible, but you can. And that's the thing. I kind of wish they kind of go back and forth of SpongeBob weirdness, his weirdness, his point of view versus Sandy's sort of science, and they never do that. They just, oh no, we just hatch a ride and go over there. Even that, you have perfect points to put in at. Like there's a specific point in the movie that Sandy's trying to fight off snakes and SpongeBob trying to help out, and this is the point they can actually homage that sort of both of them know kung fu. That could be a really fun kind of scene, but I never actually do that. Only Sandy knows kung fu, and SpongeBob is just sort of useless, and that's kind of disappointing because can use his bubbles to be more creative, how to distract the snakes, but they never really use any kind of quirky things with SpongeBob that you think sort of useless but it could be very useful in this specific scenario. And that's the thing sort of bothers me because I seen on this film as an old SpongeBob fan, I could put some old ideas in between these and improve them. Not just homages or remember this reference or remember this moment. You can actually add it to it to see how Sandy reacts to it because let's face it, Sandy is not always with SpongeBob. I like to see how she reacts to driving a boulder or the magic conch or something else that SpongeBob does just to make him seems a more interesting the conversation or something like that. I think that's sort of kind of the issue. Now you also had the plot B, all the citizens of the city of Bikini Bottom, how Arab reacts to the situation now this huge machine took the city now stuck in this sort of aquarium of this sort of kind of sort of Disney park but water theme and they just figured out what to do, what's going on. You see the main villain and trying to explain why she's doing this. It's because the water park is technically failing, so she decided to basically kind of monetize the whole uh the whole cast of SpongeBob, including SpongeBob, but they realized they don't have SpongeBob. What we gonna do? We figured it out. But the whole scheme is sort of copy and paste each specific character so they can sell toys or resell them as pets to kids so they can basically push profit. And that stuff could be a very good commentary or kind of fun commentary, and they push all the logic or the merge, just make fun of it itself, but they never fully embrace it. It just sort of, oh yeah, we could do this and this, ta-da. It feels it's just doing it because they're there for a paycheck. Even that the two actors who are basically the assistants of the main villain were actually kind of funny. They sort of kind of humor version of Squidward, like, yay, we have to do this, blah blah blah, and so forth. They have their moments. But yet, it just this film doesn't feel great. It just feels very tedious. I was completely bored. Of course, some of you wondering, oh, not wondering, saying, well, of course, this meant for little kids. Instead of obvious, you will not be fully entertained. And I say yes and no because SpongeBob is for everyone. SpongeBob is funny because how wholesome and ridiculous he really is. But that's the problem. The whole IP is just running on a gas. It just doesn't have any more creative ideas or the homages they already did. They just don't know what to do with these characters or anything else. Even that this one sort of focused on Sandy the most. It just feels like a basic episode, never fully exploring Sandy, her ambitions, or anything like that. But be known, you get to know a little bit her family and who you used to be, but not enough to actually feels like I maybe made a mistake becoming a scientist or regretting some of the things, or she some have issues with her family. She does love her family and their family understands her, but you never feel conflict. You never feel the reason why. It just sort of, I have some doubts, but I still am satisfied. And that's just sort of boring. I mean, that's the thing. Everything here is just boring. It just feels just sort of not even interesting to actually talking about it. That's hard. I was sort of struggling to talk about this because it just wasn't good enough. The fact you have to rate this is sort of obvious. I already said it. Between 2 out of 10. It's not horrible, but I just don't recommend it to anyone. Only if you have little kids, they would probably really enjoy it. Like maybe a 5 year old, maybe 7 year old, they would probably enjoy it. But even that pushing it around 9 or 10, they would probably dislike it because it just doesn't really feel funny. The reactions, the timing of the comedy, it just feels mid. And that's the only thing I can say. In fact, I don't know about you. Do you care? Do you like it? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.